friends, my name is Hannah. I am the Youth Services Administrator for the Dauphin County Library System. Before we get started with our program today, I want to mention that this program is made possible by the PA Forward initiative of the Pennsylvania Library Association and the National Network of Libraries of Medicine. We have a lot on the agenda today. We are going to talk about chameleons. We are going to do some chameleon yoga. We're going to breathe like chameleons. And we're going to think and talk about moving and breathing like a chameleon and when that could help us if we need to calm down or calm our bodies down. And then we're going to do a chameleon art project and hear some book talks. So we have, first up, some chameleon facts that we need to go through. And I learned all these chameleon facts in preparation for today. So we have, as humans, 5 senses. We have sight, taste, touch, hearing, and smell. And chameleons, they have all of these too, but they use their sight, so they use their eyes, and their taste, and their touch the most. And here are a few things about chameleons that are going to be important later. So first off, chameleons, they move very slowly. And then they move their heads from side to side like this, scanning their area, looking for friends or enemies. And then they rock their bodies back and forth, which is easy to do in this rocking chair. They rock their bodies back and forth. And some chameleons change color. And we used to think that they did this to match their surroundings, but mostly chameleons change color to communicate. So they change color if they want to impress another chameleon or scare them off, or to maybe tell another chameleon that I'm friendly, you can come on over to me. And I learned all of these facts from a book, and that book is called Chameleon by Joy Cowley, and it is photographed by Nick Bishop. So we're not going to read this whole book, but we're going to talk a little bit about it. We're going to read the first page here. The chameleon rests in his tree. His skin has peaceful colors. So look at all the colors on this chameleon's skin. There's blue and green and a nice soft yellow and some red. And he has his eyes closed. He does look like a peaceful chameleon. And some other facts that were in here are that the chameleons are looking for food and they move very slowly, step by step. And they meet someone who maybe looks a little scary. And this is where I got all of these facts from. There's lots of different kinds of chameleons. I love this picture of the chameleon where he's going like this. He looks like a little cat. And then this is cool, where the chameleon sees the caterpillar and then zap, gets him with his tongue. So this is a great book to learn a little bit about chameleons, chameleon. And especially this first page, again, we'll go back to that. This first page. The chameleon rests in his tree. His skin has peaceful colors. It really got me thinking about how chameleons might be very good at yoga. So they're very peaceful, just like the chameleon in here. They move very slowly and they're very quiet. So we are going to try a few yoga poses inspired by chameleons. So I'll meet you back here in just a second. All right, we are going to do 5 yoga poses inspired by chameleons. You don't need much to do these yoga poses with me. I have a yoga mat. You don't need to have a yoga mat. You just need to have enough space to put your arms out like this wide. So you don't need any special equipment to do these yoga poses with me. But if you have a yoga mat, now would be the perfect time to use it. So parents, these are designed for you and your kiddo to do together. We're going to hold each pose for 5 chameleon breaths. And our yoga breath, or our chameleon breath, that is the most important part. Even if you can't do the pose, even if we're going to do mountain pose, or we're going to do tree pose later, and even if you start to fall over in tree pose, just keep on breathing. That is the most important part. So let's try our yoga, our chameleon breath. So it's going to be an audible breath in through your nose and then out through your nose. But try to make it as loud as possible. So here we go. All right, so we're going to do some of these poses, and don't forget we're going to hold each one for 5 chameleon breaths. So here we go. The first pose is very simple. It's called mountain pose, and you're just going to stand with your feet about shoulder width apart or hip distance apart, and you're going to stand there as still as a mountain, and you're going to take your 5 chameleon breaths. So here we go. All right, next we're going to move into our warrior pose. So here we go. We're going to go to the side with our feet pointing, our toes pointing at the short end of my mat over here. And we're going to bend our front leg, but we're not going to go over our toes. And we're going to go back kind of as far as we can, and then stick our arms out long, just like this, and get a really good stretch. And we're going to rock a little bit. See if we can go forward any more, but just with our upper body. So just like a chameleon rocks, we're going to do a little bit of rocking, but don't move this leg down here. We're just going to go with our upper body. Oh, how far can you stretch with just that upper body? Okay, and now we're going to stretch out long and hold that pose for 5 chameleon breaths. All right, now we're going to flip our feet over to the other side. Same thing. Toes pointed at this short end of the mat. We're going to stretch out long, just like this. And same thing again. You want to make sure that knee is bent, but not over the toes. And then reach with just our arms. How far can you reach? Okay, and we'll hold our pose for 5 chameleon breaths. Right, now let's come back to our mountain pose. We'll stand here just like this. Okay, and 5 more chameleon breaths. All right, we're going to try tree pose, just like a chameleon. That chameleon was climbing up the tree. We're going to pretend to be that tree that the chameleon was climbing up. So to do this one, it requires a little bit of balance. But what you're going to do is lift your leg up. You could lift it up really high. I can't go up that high today, and that's okay. Wherever you are today is just fine. But I'm going to go right in here like this. And you're going to want to pick a spot that's very still right out in front of you to focus on. And we're going to do our 5 chameleon breaths. try with our other leg. This is the worst leg for me. I'll probably trip, like wobble a little bit on this one, but here we go. We're gonna try again. Don't forget to pick a spot out in front of you that's not moving and focus on that. And we'll do our 5 chameleon breaths. All right, we'll come back to mountain pose. One more time, take 5 more breaths. Be nice and calm, centered. Why don't we do this? We'll put our hands right here like this. All right. And now we're going to sit down on our yoga mats to do butterfly pose. We're back here in butterfly pose, down seated on our mat. Again, you don't need to have a yoga mat. You can just sit on the floor. You don't even need too much space. And we're going to be in butterfly pose. And here we go. This, you have your feet together and your wings, your knees out to the side. And if you can't, it's however far you can bring your feet in. Wherever you are is just fine if you can bring them in really close to your body, that's fine. If they need to be out here, that's fine. Wherever your feet need to be. Mine feel pretty good right here. So we're going to be in this butterfly pose, and we're going to take 5 chameleon breaths. Our last pose is called child's pose. And to get into child's pose, you're going to go on all 4s, just like this, with your hands under your shoulders. So you don't want them way out in front of you or anything like that. You just want them under your shoulders, but then you're going to rock back and kind of like a chameleon hanging onto a branch. You're going to rock back and put your forearms on the ground and put your head down. And this is going to be our resting chameleon, our child's pose. And here we go. All right. Thank you all for doing some yoga poses with me and relaxing just like a nice peaceful chameleon. I'm going to come back to my butterfly pose here because I kind of usually sit like this anyway. And butterflies, like chameleons, they can be really colorful. And another thing about a chameleon who changes colors is those colors, they can signal the needs of a chameleon. So our feelings, what we feel inside, they're often associated with colors too. There's blue for sad, there's red for angry, and there's yellow for happy. And yoga and breathing, doing our chameleon breath, that can help us feel calm and mindful when things are hard. So the next time that you maybe feel red for angry or even yellow for happy, why don't you notice how you are breathing in that moment and maybe try a few chameleon breaths and see if those either help you to feel better or help you stay in that happy moment for a little bit longer. And for parents, if you are looking for some more resources on your child's health, we are going to have a link to Medline Plus health topics in the description below this video. And there's a resource from the National Network of Libraries of Medicine. And Medline Plus does not create its own information, but it gathers and organizes it. So rather than doing an internet search for the information that you need about your kid, you're going to go and you go to the Mayo Clinic, you go to the American Academy of Pediatrics. Medline Plus gathers all of that information in one spot. and everything has gone through strict standards before being included on that site, and all the sources are cited. And if you're interested in getting more involved with diverse health research, we encourage you to check out the All of Us research program, which aims to use participant data to give researchers information to study health and disease throughout the next 10 years. We're going to have a link to that in the description below as well. And you can check that out for some more information. And up next, we are going to have a craft for you to follow along with.
Hi everyone, my name is Samantha and I'm a Youth Services Manager at the Dauphin County Library System. Today, I'm going to show you a super cool chameleon craft. You're going to use 2 paper plates to make a chameleon that changes color. So stay tuned and we'll get started. Alright, here's our craft again so you can see what it looks like. I'm going to go over the steps for how to make it now. So the first thing you're going to want to do is get one of your blank paper plates, whatever you decided to color with. So today I'm just using some different markers. That's what I had. You can use paint, you can use crayons, whatever you like. And I'm just going to color my paper plate kind of randomly. That's how I feel like doing it today, but you can color it however you want. And parents, when you're doing an activity like this, it's a great time to have discussions with your child. So with something like this, you could talk about feelings and what colors you relate with what feelings. So you could ask your child, what color would you be if you were feeling happy? What color would you be if you were feeling sad or scared? And you can have really interesting dialogues with your children about these sorts of topics. I think if I were happy, I think I would be purple. And if I was scared, if I was scared, maybe I would be orange. Alright, I won't make you watch me color the whole thing in. So your next step, we're just going to set that aside. Your next step is going to be to print out the chameleon outline that's in the worksheet that we've linked below in this video, and to cut out your chameleon outline on the dotted lines. You're going to then trace that onto your paper plate so that you can cut it out. So I've started one here. Cutting this out can definitely be a little tricky, so you'll probably want a grown-up's help. But what I like to do is first I fold the paper plate over, cut a little chunk out, and then from that space I cut out towards the edges of the drawing, and then that makes it a little bit easier to get in there with the scissors. So, grown-ups, this might be a good time for you to step in with this craft, especially getting these little feet cut out. Just depends on where your child is at with their scissor skills. And back to those conversations that you can have with your child while you're doing this activity. You can talk about why chameleons change color, why that might help them in the wild. You can think about other animals that blend in with their environment. And you can also talk about how you might blend in to your environment. We don't change colors like chameleons, so if we wanted to blend in, what would we have to do? We'd probably have to change our clothes, right? So these are just some of the conversations that you can have together while you work on this activity. All right, so I won't make you watch me cut the whole thing out. I'll go over the last step here. So this is the last part. This can be a little tricky too. You want to use your scissors to punch a small hole into the center of each of the paper plates. That is where your fastener will go through. So you just line up those little holes, put your fastener through, flip it over, press the tabs down, and now you have 2 paper plates that can spin. And there's the color changing chameleon. All right, so I'm not going to let you go yet. I'm going to talk about a few books before we say goodbye. All right, before I let you go, I'm going to go over a few more books about chameleons that you can get at the library. The first one I want to talk about is called The Kid and the Chameleon by Sherry Mabry and illustrated by Joni Stone. This is one of our easy reader books, so this is great if you're just learning to read by yourself and want something with short sentences and lots of pictures. And this is about a girl named Tessie who meets a chameleon named Newton. And they really want to be friends, but they have some trouble because they like different things. Tessie likes to go on picnics and ride her bike, but Newton prefers to just lay out on a warm rock in the sun. And so they'll have to find common ground so they can get along. But I think you'll see it has a happy ending. The next book I want to talk about is called Blue Chameleon by Emily Gravett. And in this book, our chameleon friend is very sad because they can't find anywhere to fit in. They try to blend in with lots of different animals and things, like the cockatoo and the snail. But they just don't know where they belong. So you'll have to read this one and see what happens and see if the chameleon ever finds a friend. The next book I want to talk about is called Invisible Lizard by Kurt Cyrus and illustrated by Andy Atkins. And this is about another chameleon that has trouble fitting in. They try really, really hard to get everyone's attention, but they just can't see the chameleon. He blends in so well that nobody can see him. And so after a while, they start to wonder, how will I ever make any friends? So you'll have to read this one too and find out what happens. The last book I want to talk about is called Chameleon's Colors by Chisato Toshiro. Now this one is super funny. You gotta check it out. This is about the animals in the jungle who actually want to change colors just like the chameleon. They think, that's so cool, I want to be like you. And so the chameleon starts painting the other animals all different crazy colors. But the thing is, it doesn't work out that well because there's a reason that certain animals are certain colors. And so in the book, you'll find out why it is that they don't change colors like the chameleon does. So there are a few books that you can get at the library that are about chameleons that I think you'll really enjoy. Thank you so much for watching me and Hannah go over the yoga and stories and your craft. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'd love to see you at the library sometime. Bye-bye.